This morning, you casually tossed a broken phone battery into the trash. A light flick of the wrist. No second thought. Congratulations, you may have just dropped a slow-burning bomb into a machine worth around $300. Ling ling ling. And what happens next doesn't sound like an action movie explosion. It's quieter, hotter, and far more dangerous. Picture a thermal camera peering through the thick steel walls of a garbage truck. Inside is a sea of shredded paper, plastic, fabric, and cardboard, all dry, all flammable. In the middle, a tiny red glow begins to form. No ticking sound, no burning fuse, just a lithium-ion battery being crushed under more than 2.0 pounds per square inches. Roughly the pressure of a car pressing down on an area no bigger than your palm. The casing cracks. Internal layers touch. And something with an oddly gentle textbook name begins thermal runaway. It sounds clinical, but it's essentially a chain reaction spiraling out of control. Lithium-ion batteries pack dense chemical energy. A small cell can power your phone all day, which means it holds enough energy to heat everything around it if released at once. When the internal separator breaks, heat builds rapidly. Heat accelerates the reaction. Faster reactions generate even more heat. The cycle climbs upward, and inside a sealed trash chamber. There's nowhere for that heat to escape. The red dot spreads. Plastic softens. Paper ignites. The thermal camera no longer sees a tiny spark, but a glowing orange streak burning through compressed waste. A truck designed to crush garbage suddenly turns into a moving furnace. Outside, you hear only the engine idling. Inside, everything is changing color. Here comes the wildest part. The driver doesn't immediately jump out with a fire extinguisher. They know something crucial once flames sink deep into a compacted mass of trash. You can't simply spray water through a 10-ton block, packed tighter than 2 elephants squeezed into a steel box. Water hits only the surface. The core keeps burning. So they do something that looks like a disaster, but is actually the only way to save the truck. They pull over into an open space, sometimes right in the middle of a wide asphalt road. Then they press a button jokingly called the ejection protocol. The rear door swings open. Hydraulics reverse, and the entire burning load is pushed out onto the ground, collapsing onto the pavement like a beast shedding its skin. Smoke rises. Bystanders panic. It looks like a daytime apocalypse scene. But it's the only move that prevents the vehicle itself from becoming fuel. Because if the fire reaches the hydraulic system or the diesel tank, the damage goes far beyond a pile of trash and a scorched patch of road. It becomes a charred skeleton of metal and a repair bill big enough to give an entire city a headache. You might think, it's just one battery. Yet every year, thousands of garbage truck fires worldwide start from misplaced lithium cells tiny as a thumb, fierce as a flare. What makes this story unsettling isn't the flames. It's the randomness. You weren't trying to cause harm. You were just cleaning out a drawer. But the moment a hydraulic piston compresses waste with thousands of psi, that little battery stops being harmless junk. It becomes trapped heat. Buried between layers of plastic and paper, an accidental chemistry experiment triggered by everyday habits. Pause for a second and follow the domino chain. You throw away the battery. The truck arrives. The piston compresses. The separator inside the cell tears. Heat rises. Trash ignites. The driver ejects everything onto the road. Firefighters arrive. Traffic grinds to a halt. All from one unconscious toss. It sounds dramatic, but the physics isn't exaggeration. Lithium reacts violently when damaged. And a compactor doesn't care whether it's crushing paper, plastic, or electronics. See the irony. A machine built to control chaos can be defeated by something the size of a matchbox. 10 tons of steel. And massive pistons. Industrial hydraulics, undone by a discarded battery. Not because the machine is weak, but because it's too strong. The very pressure that makes it efficient is what triggers the reaction. So next time you're standing over a trash bin with an old battery in your hand, remember, You're not just cleaning up your home. You might be deciding whether that garbage truck becomes a rolling torch today. Sounds dramatic. I know, but sometimes reality carries more tension than any movie script. And if you're curious about the hidden machines quietly operating around you, the ones that seem ordinary yet hide entire worlds of mechanics and chemistry, keep asking questions. Maybe next time, we'll dissect something sitting right under your feet that you've never even noticed.